Hi guys, so I'm going to read Journey into Mystery number 99. So this was published in December of 1963. So Journey into Mystery. The mighty Thor meets the most dramatic super foe of the year. The mysterious Mr. Hyde. It is time for mighty Thor to become weak. Dr. Blake again. I hope no new menace shows up now, for I'd be helpless to fight it. Mr. Hyde, stronger than a dozen men, more dangerous than any mere mortal. Also, you will meet Surtur the Fire Demon in this issue's Tales of Asgard. The mighty Thor battles the mysterious Mr. Hyde. A man would have to be mad to defy the mighty Thor, and yet, as we are about to see, one such man does threaten the awesome thunder god. But perhaps man is the wrong word to use for a super strong, super dangerous, superhuman foe such as the mysterious Mr. Hyde. Written by Stan Lee. Illustrated by Don Heck. Lettered by Art Simic. Keep your eye on this man. One of the most impressive, unforgettable sights of all time is the sight of mighty Thor, whirling his enchanted hammer, preparing to hurl himself into the sky as only a thunder god can. But, as the breathless crowd falls back in hushed silence, one figure stands motionless, wrapped in his dark thoughts. It is the evil figure of Mr. Hyde. Then, like a raging thunderbolt, the powerful costumed figure hurtles into the sky on a mission known only to himself, as the wide-eyed crowd stares in undisguised wonder.
This is a sight I'll remember as long as I live. It's something we'll tell our children, and they'll repeat to their children.
Where do you think he's heading for?
Who knows? With someone like Thor, it could be any place.
Look, he's almost out of sight already. If we could have gotten a longer look at him.
But, within the crowd, one man, if man he is, feels no regret at seeing Thor vanish into the blue.
I've got to get away. I've never seen anyone so repulsive, so frightening.
He's gone. Good. This makes everything perfect. With Thor out of the city, there is no one strong enough to frustrate my plans. And now it is time for Dr. Don Blake to receive a visit. An unexpected visit from Mr. Hyde.
Meanwhile, traveling at speeds faster than the human mind can comprehend, the mighty Thor reaches his destination. He has arrived at Asgard, home of the legendary Norse gods, throne city of Odin, the all-powerful father of Thor. Again I come to plead my cause, but this time I shall not leave without the answer I crave. Then, within the golden throne room of Odin,
Again you plague me with your impossible demand. Beware, Thor. Though you be my favorite son, you wear my patience thin.
As the son of Odin, and heir to the throne of Asgard, I have the privilege of repeating a request, and you know that well, noble father. You must let me marry the earthbound female, Jane Foster. Though he be man or thunder god, everyone that breathes must answer to his heart.
Enough! I will hear no more. An immortal may never marry an earthling. That is the final word of Odin.
And, as tempers reach the boiling point in Asgard, on the earth below, a powerful, smirking figure walks through the streets on a sinister mission.
The time has come for Dr. Don Blake to repay an old debt to Mr. Hyde, and I shall see that I am paid in full.
Just a few blocks away, in Dr. Blake's outer office, his lovely nurse, Jane Foster, is wrapped in her own thoughts, unaware of the lurking menace which is coming ever closer.
If only I could stop loving Don Blake. I know my feelings for him are in vain, and yet my heart can't forget him. I feel he loves me, too, but there seems to be some terrible secret which he never dares speak of, but which will eternally keep us apart.
But little does Jane Foster dream that within minutes a new menace will appear, a menace grave enough to make her forget her romantic longings. For, in the street below, Mr. Hyde pauses before entering Blake's building, pauses to reflect upon the past.
Blake does not suspect what I have become. He has no way of knowing that my strength has been magnified 12 times, so that I am as powerful as any 12 normal human beings. But he is soon to learn of Mr. Hyde, and so is the rest of mankind. Ha ha ha! Nor will he suspect that I am the same man who once called himself Calvin Zabo, and who came to see him only a few short months ago.
Dr. Don Blake, I have heard of him. He is the famous lame doctor. It should be a simple matter to get a job with him, and then rob him later, at my leisure.
But Blake proved to be less unsuspecting than I thought.
I've heard about you, Zabo. You're no good. You've been fired from every job you've ever held. I can't use you. Show him out, Miss Foster.
So, you dare humiliate Calvin Zabo this way? You'll pay for this, Blake. I promise you.
I hated him. He had everything. Wealth, fame, a beautiful nurse. I knew I had to find a way to harm him. Somehow. And as I left, the germ of an idea began to hatch in my brain, as I vowed bitter vengeance upon Dr. Don Blake.
Editor's note. Naturally, the man called Calvin Zabo has no way of knowing that the frail doctor whom he hates and the mighty Thor are one and the same. For, if he suspected, but more of that later.
For years I had been fascinated by the tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I had always felt it was more than just an imaginary story. I felt it could happen. And so...
I know it must be possible to change a human being. Change him so that his baser nature takes over. Just as happened to Dr. Jekyll. And if my calculations are correct...
And so I drank the potion I had created. And then the change began, just as Robert Louis Stevenson had described it in his classic tale. In his tale, which was truer than he had dreamt, I changed. I became what I had wanted to become. I became Mr. Hyde. And with that change came a hatred of humanity and a desire to triumph over the weaker human race. But even as my personality changed, so did my strength. The power of 12 men flowed through my veins. I could accomplish any feat I desired. I could defeat anyone. Anything. Then I realized the most wonderful thing. No matter what crime I committed, no one would ever suspect my true self, Calvin Zabo, for even my fingerprints had changed when I became Mr. Hyde. This meant I could do anything as Mr. Hyde, and once changing back to Calvin Zabo, I would be safe from arrest. And, with my newfound strength, what massive crimes I could commit. Even the strongest bank vault doors would crumble before my mighty grasp. And, once I turned back to Calvin Zabo, none would ever suspect I was the one who called himself Mr. Hyde. It would be the perfect means of escape, the ability to change to a completely different person. Nothing could ever stop me.
But Mr. Hyde's musings come to a sudden halt as he easily smashes down the door to Dr. Don Blake's outer office.
But now the task at hand, my revenge upon Dr. Blake.
Meanwhile, in Asgard, Thor does not realize that an enemy has invaded the office of his earthly alter ego.
Noble Odin, you must not turn away from me. You must hear my petition. It is useless. An immortal may not marry a mortal. That is the law. Nothing more remains to be said. But I have an answer for that, my father. You have a power which you have never used before. The power to make a human being an immortal, just as my enchanted hammer had made me the god of thunder. What? You dare suggest I use that great power on a mere earth girl? For no other purpose than to make her your wife? To become an immortal, one must be proven to be noble, unselfish, fearless, and possessing virtues far in excess of those which the ordinary earth-bound human possesses. And this you know full well, my son. You cannot dismiss me so casually. You seek to thwart me at every turn, but I do not accept your answer, Odin. What? You dare raise your hammer to me? Forgive me, father. It was an involuntary gesture. I meant you no harm. Silence! Even a thunder god must be taught humility. Stunned momentarily by Odin's mighty power blast, Thor staggers back, and the sight of his repentful son touches the heart of the noble monarch. I am saddened that I must cause anguish to the son I love. Perhaps I yet may leave a crumb of hope for him to cling to. And so, go now, Thor, and heed my final words. Should the earthlings you love prove herself worthy of immortality, then you may come to me again, and I shall listen to your petition. Then there is still hope, my father. I thank you for that. Then, joyously, like a flying, flashing streak, the mighty Thor hurtles earthward. There still is hope. She may yet be mine. Where a human can be strong, a thunder god is mighty. Where a human can be fast, a thunder god is lightning swift. And, where a human might be happy, a thunder god's unbridled joy knows no limits. She may yet be mine! Ha 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 ha! Mine! And so, as fate would have it, the mighty Thor swings into Dr. Blake's private office through an open window, at the very same instant as another dramatic event takes place. Not a change to Dr. Blake before Jane can enter the room and discover me. In the outer office, at that split second, the repellent form of Mr. Hyde smashes through the locked door,
And now our tale begins to move into high gear.
Take me to Dr. Blake at once. Mr. Hyde commands you.
That face, that inhuman strength. What are you?
And, hearing the harsh voice demanding to see him, but not dreaming of the menace who possesses that voice, Thor stamps his enchanted hammer once upon the floor, and his transformation is completed instantaneously. It is time to become Don Blake again. And now to see what the commotion is in my outer office. But, as Don Blake, Thor's senses are not as alert as when he is the god of thunder. And so he makes a careless mistake as he thoughtlessly drops his enchanted walking stick, letting it fall out of reach. That voice, I don't recognize it. It sounds harsh, guttural, fraught with hatred and menace.
Doctor, I wanted to warn you, but he didn't give me the chance.
Silence, woman. It is too late for words. My moment is at hand.
I don't know who you are, fella, but I'm not used to having my doors bashed in like that. Have to distract him with talk, till I can grab my cane. Then, suddenly, Don Blake lunges desperately for his enchanted stick, but Mr. Hyde mistakes the gesture, thinking Blake wants to attack him with the simple object.
Fool! You think you can save yourself by grabbing a cane?
If I can only get my fingers on it! There! I've got it! But, before Blake can pound it on the floor...
I didn't mean to finish you so soon, but it's your own fault.
The window! I'm falling! Too late to save myself! While inside the room, Jane Foster recoils in shock at the sight of the man she loves, plummeting to almost certain death through the open window.
Don! Oh
no! And then, because she is a female... Okay.
She fainted. It is just as well. Now I will not be forced to silence her.
Then, ripping Blake's private wall vault door off, its hinges as easily if it were made of papier-mâché.
What could be more fitting than for the one who vanquished him to take Blake's money, his papers, and the results of his lifetime of research and study? It is only fitting that Mr. Hyde should gain by Blake's death. And now my revenge is complete.
Meanwhile, outside the building, Don Blake continues to plummet towards the ground. Only one chance. If I can just touch the wall with my cane. I've got to! And then, a scant few stories from the waiting pavement below. I'll have time for only one try. Must do it now! Now! I did it! As Don Blake, mortal, I was forced to fall toward the ground. But, as mighty Thor, the thunder god, with the aid of my enchanted hammer, I can land safely by flying. And now, Mr. Hyde, we shall face each other again, on my terms. By twirling my mallet in this manner, I can rise straight into the air, in the fashion of an earthly helicopter. But, upon reaching Blake's office again, Hyde is gone. He made good his escape, but not for long. Jane, are you all right? What happened? Who was he?
I don't know. He called himself Mr. Hyde. He seemed to know Dr. Blake. Oh, Dr. Blake! He fell from the window. He...
No, do not fear for his safety. He is all right. Luckily, I was passing by and saw him falling. I managed to save him before he struck the ground.
Oh, thank heavens. I was so worried.
She seems to love Blake as much as I love her. If only I could tell her my secret. But in time, perhaps I shall, once Odin is convinced that she is worthy. And then...
Thor, wait! Before you go, where is Dr. Blake? I want to see him.
I'm not quite sure now, but don't worry. He said he'll call you. Your phone should be ringing any minute now. True to his word, once out of sight, Thor changes again to Don Blake and hurries to the nearest phone booth. Jane. Yes, my dear. It's really me. Thanks to Thor, I wasn't injured. I'll be back in the office in a little while, after I've attended to the mysterious Mr. Hyde. Meanwhile, in another part of town...
Now that I have had my revenge on Don Blake, I can concentrate on my plans. Plans for committing the greatest crimes of the century. With my superhuman strength, my newly formed, devious, scheming brain, and my ability to change identities, I can never fail. The money I stole from Blake is but a pittance to what I soon shall possess. It is no more than a symbol of my power, my destiny.
But suddenly, a news broadcast interrupts the background music, which had been playing on Hyde's radio, and he learns, "We bring you a special bulletin from our newsroom. It has been reported that Dr. Donald Blake, the eminent neurosurgeon, was miraculously saved from a plunge from his office window today by the arrival of the mighty Thor, who snatched him from sudden death in a dramatic rescue."
What? Blake still lives? Then Thor has returned, and he has foiled my revenge. I feared that Thor was the only one who could foil me, so there is only one course for me to follow. My first task, my most important task shall be the destruction of Thor by Mr. Hyde. No matter how strong he is, my strength will match his, and I shall have the advantage of surprise. For Thor, in his arrogant self-confidence, cannot suspect that I am capable of defeating him until it is too late.
The next day, in the main lobby of one of New York's largest savings and loan institutions...
Oh no, it isn't possible. Look who it is.
Back, all of you. Let none interfere with the mighty Thor. You all know me, and you know my power. I do not want to harm anyone unless it is necessary. So I warn you, stay back and do not force me to slay any of you puny mortals.
What has happened to Thor?
The worst thing possible for mankind. He seems to have turned bad.
I shall do what I must quickly and effortlessly. There is none who would dare to try to stop me. He's robbing the bank right before our eyes. I can't believe it. Not of Thor. I won't be greedy. I'll only take as much as I can carry. And Thor can carry a fortune. Even if you are the mighty Thor, I can't stand by and let you... Oof! You dare point a gun at me? I'll crumple it to dust before your eyes. Then, before anyone can make another move, the Thunder God turns and races from the bank with blinding speed. carrying the heavy money bags as though they are weightless. Within minutes, the news is flashed to an incredulous world, as a startled humanity finds itself unable to believe what it has heard, unable to imagine the dire consequences for mankind if the reports are true.
Look, Chief, we can't make any exceptions. If Thor has turned bad, we've got to get him.
You're right, Clark. It's our duty, and we must do it. But have you stopped to consider, man? How do you bring in a being who can fly, who can control the very elements themselves, and whose strength is so great it has never been accurately measured? In the hours that follow, Thor becomes a page one news. His name is on everyone's lips, and his deeds wipe reports of wars and revolutions from the front pages.
Are there any further leads on the Thor case, Chief?
How soon do you expect an arrest, Chief? Can you tell us your plans for capturing Thor?
Sorry, boys, no comment. This is more than a local police matter. We expect aid from the federal authorities within a few hours.
The chief's remarks receive wide circulation.
This is more than a local police matter.
And suddenly, the city seems held in a grip of fear. Alert police officers patrol every street. Cruising police cars slowly drive through every neighborhood, and the ordinary citizen remains at home, behind locked doors, unless his business is urgent.
Any sign of him yet, Joe?
No, but look sharp. We don't want to take any chances with him.
And, as the greatest city in the world takes on the aspect of a town under siege, we halt our story. But there is much more to come. Next issue, you will marvel at the amazing conclusion as Thor and the mysterious Mr. Hyde meet again, face to face, in a fight to the finish. So, for the startling explanation to the strange events you have just witnessed, and one of the most thrilling climaxes you have ever witnessed, don't dare miss the epic 100th issue of Journey into Mystery. See you then, and the end. Tales of Asgard, home of the mighty Norse gods. Surtur, the fire demon. Editor's note: according to Norse legend, the trolls live under hills, which they crank up in order to see the outside world, and presented with pride by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. There are no secrets from Odin, king of the gods. When he hears that the trolls have joined Surtur to rebel against Asgard, the mighty Odin personally invades the land of the trolls, and thus begins our legendary epic. Odin presses on, even though the Troll King threatens him with death if he does not leave the Forbidden Land. And then the trolls attack heroic Odin. Odin, whose power is the only force in the universe that can shatter the unbreakable grip of a deadly troll. Suddenly, there is a blinding, searing, nerve-shattering blast, and Odin is free, for when he plunges his sword into the ground, anchoring it there, he draws unto himself the limitless powers of the gods. Their will to fight crumbles before Odin's show of force, and the trolls tell him where to find Surtur. So Odin ventures forth once more into the sea of flame. Slowly, ponderously, the gigantic head of the evil Surtur, king of the fire demons, rises from beneath the swirling mass of molten liquid, as Odin faces the monstrous creature, unafraid. Then, before the very eyes of the ruler of the gods, Surtur's left hand undergoes an awesome change, as his fingers are magically transformed into sinister serpents. But before the hungry apparitions can strike, Odin's great sword gestures skyward, reaching through the emptiness of space itself, reaching to the very end of infinity. And in a split second, the frozen remnants of long-dead planets come hurtling down to Surtur's evil land of fire. At the moment they are hit with the icy space waste, the serpents shrivel up and become harmless, for flame cannot endure such bitter cold. For long silent moments, the two mighty enemies fight each other, as Odin commands Surtur to obey his royal commands, while Surtur keeps his distance, ferociously planning his next attack. And then, Surtur makes his move. He knows he cannot harm Odin himself, so he will strike at the king of the gods by destroying the one thing Odin loves, the planet Earth. Surtur reaches Earth before Odin can stop him. Earth, around which the magic tree Yggdrasil has spread its branches while awaiting the coming of man. Boring deep into the center of the planet, Surtur releases a huge chunk of matter, a chunk which flies into the sky, where it will spin around the Earth, and be forever known as the Moon. But at the home of the gods, Odin forms the sparkling Rainbow Bridge for the first time to speed his way to Earth. Then, after reaching his favorite planet, Odin holds his great sword above it, drawing on all the electromagnetic particles of the cosmos, and concentrating them above the fertile planet. Soon, the powerful forces cause the Earth to begin spinning faster and faster around the sun, in endless rotation which continues to this very day, and which traps Surtur in the center of the planet, holding him there by centrifugal force, keeping him an eternal prisoner, where he furnishes heat and energy to the planet he had hoped to destroy. Hoping to cause Odin to set him free, Surtur sends a gift to the victorious god, a gift which flies through the mouth of a spouting volcano. It is a wonderful winged horse, which Odin keeps, as the evil Surtur hopes that one day Odin's wrath will be appeased, and he'll be freed. Surtur cares not now, or not how long it takes. He has all eternity to wait. Next issue, you'll marvel at the boyhood of Thor. And the end. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, that'd be appreciated. If you have any requests you want me to do, just let me know in the comments, and I'll tell you when I can do the request. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later.